And for the final closing statement, and then we will move to the table for the cross-examinations, this is Dsouza.
Think about a 5-year-old who gets cancer or who is wiped out in a hurricane. We sit back and we're appalled and we say, this is evil. This is wrong. Now, interestingly, of all the creatures on the planet, we seem to be the only ones who have this kind of reaction. In other words, if a baboon is in a tree and another baboon gets wiped out in a hurricane, we have no reason to believe that the first baboon even cares. In other words, it is a peculiarity of our human nature that we have this category that seems morally immovable called evil. What is its evolutionary root? I can explain why I would care about my son or daughter, they share my genes. Or about my cousin, he has 1/5 or 1/8 of my genes. Why would I care if a stranger is wiped out in Rwanda? Who cares? He's unrelated to me. Evolution is not going to program me to give a darn. But we humans have embedded in us this moral sense. We know what's good, we know what's evil. And I say, where do we get the idea of a moral law without some idea of a moral lawgiver? Where does even the concept of evil come from, if not from some external morality? And what possible source could that morality have except a deity? Now, Michael Shermer says we got all these different religions. We got the Hindus. Who knows who's right? Let me offer you a little different thought. If it is the case, well, first of all, the argument on the face of it proves absolutely nothing. It's sort of like saying this: if I were to argue that human beings have the capacity for language built into it and that language is a reality, it's no rebuttal to say, well, gee, that's very odd, because I've seen people speak French, I've seen people speak German, I've seen people speak Spanish. You got all these different languages, which suggests that there's no language per se. Language must be some sort of a cultural artifact. Yes, the individual languages are cultural artifacts, but the capacity for language is built into human nature. Now, the same is true of religion. It's rather interesting that throughout history there's never been a civilization that has not had some concept of God. Now, if God is this invisible reality and we're programmed in an evolutionary way to survive, why posit a deity? Why is it the case that I see no curiosity on Michael Shermer's part that the vast, vast majority of the people on the planet are religious? He says it's like UFOs or some kind of cult. Believe me, if 99% of people on the planet all had observational and direct experience of UFOs, we should probably take the concept more seriously. On the other hand, if it's 10 fourth graders, 10 guys with a fourth grade education in Louisiana, we can write it off. Now, what I want to suggest is this. The universe we know has a beginning. The universe we know has a beginning. Now, what is the natural explanation for the universe? There is none. Why? The universe encompasses all of nature. Every material thing that has a beginning requires a cause. If it didn't, science would be absurd. Every material thing that has a beginning requires a cause. The universe had a beginning, not only in space and time, but of space and time. And the question I'm asking is, what is the cause of the universe? It requires a cause. And it requires a cause that is powerful to bring it into being, intelligent to create it, to make a lawful universe. So I am positing that the best explanation for us having a lawful material universe with a beginning is a super powerful, super intelligent God. I submit there is no better explanation. In fact, it's the most logical explanation. Once again, we see that reason and science, far from being against God, are actually in their own way pointing in His direction. Now remember, God is not a material object. And so you can no more demand material evidence for God than you can demand material evidence for, say, consciousness. Consciousness is a reality, about as real as anything else we know in the world. We can never find it under the microscope or under the telescope. A thought is a reality. We can find neurons and atoms under the microscope, but we can't find thoughts. We can't find feelings. Michael even alluded to scientific concepts. We can't find gravity. We can see a stone fall to the ground, but the law that describes that stone falling, that is immaterial. So here you've got a rather bizarre situation where atheists are saying material reality is the only reality. One guy said to me, I'll give you $1,000 if you can make God appear to me as a material object. Can't do it. God is immaterial. Thank you.